In 1521, Ferdinand Magellan led a Spanish fleet across uncharted Pacific waters, seeking a westward route to the Spice Islands. On March 16th, his fleet sighted Homonhon Island, the first Europeans to reach the Philippine archipelago, completing the Pacific crossing. The landfall opened the Philippines to Spanish colonization and anchored the Manila galleon trade, linking Asia and the Americas for centuries. In 1621, Plymouth colony huddled on a cold New England shore. English settlers, weakened by a brutal winter, braced for the unknown world surrounding them. Samoset, an Abenaki leader, strode boldly into the settlement and greeted the astonished colonists in English, words he had learned from fishermen along the Maine coast. Samoset's greeting opened a dialogue that led to a landmark peace treaty with Massasoit, shaping the fragile coexistence between two worlds for years to come. In 1789, Georg Simon Ohm was born in Erlangen, Bavaria, a craftsman's son whose curiosity about the invisible forces of nature would reshape science forever. Ohm discovered that electric current through a conductor is proportional to voltage and inversely proportional to resistance, a precise, elegant law governing all electricity. Ohm's law became the cornerstone of electrical engineering, powering every circuit, every device, every grid that lights our modern world. In 1792, Sweden's King Gustav III ruled with absolute flair, a patron of arts, theater, and spectacle. Stockholm's Royal Opera House was his stage. On March 16th, a masked assassin, Jacob Johan Ankerström, fired a pistol into the crowd, striking the king. Gustav fell amid swirling capes and carnival masks. Gustav died 13 days later. The assassination shocked Europe and inspired Verdi's opera Un ballo in Masquerade, immortalizing the night in music forever. In 1802, the young United States needed trained military leaders. Congress debated how to build a professional army for a growing nation. On March 16th, Congress passed the Military Peace Establishment Act, officially founding the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. West Point became America's premier military academy, shaping generals and leaders who defined the nation's history for over 2 centuries. In 1912, Robert Falcon Scott's doomed Terra Nova expedition trudged across Antarctica's Ross Ice Shelf, battered by brutal cold, racing desperately back from the South Pole. Captain Oates, his feet blackened by frostbite, rose from his sleeping bag and stepped alone into the raging blizzard. A quiet, deliberate sacrifice to give his companions a chance to survive. Oates was never found. His selfless act, choosing death to spare others, became a symbol of courage and sacrifice, immortalized in Scott's diary and remembered for generations. In 1926, a lone scientist stood in a snowy Massachusetts field, years of obsessive work culminating in one audacious experiment that would change humanity forever. Robert Goddard ignited his liquid-fueled rocket. It roared skyward, traveling 56 meters in 2.5 seconds, a modest flight that proved rockets could escape Earth's gravity. That brief flight laid the foundation for all modern rocketry. Goddard, the father of modern rocketry, made the space age possible from Apollo to Mars missions. In 1966, America was racing to the moon. 2 astronauts, Neil Armstrong and David Scott, launched aboard Gemini 8, carrying humanity's boldest challenge yet into orbit. Armstrong guided Gemini 8 toward an unmanned Agena rocket. With precise control, the 2 craft locked together, the first docking of 2 vehicles ever achieved in space. A thruster failure sent both craft spinning wildly. Armstrong's quick thinking saved their lives. That docking technique would carry humans to the moon just 3 years later. In 1978, the supertanker Amoco Cadiz navigated the stormy English Channel off the rocky Brittany coast of France, carrying over 1 million barrels of crude oil. Its steering failed in heavy seas. The helpless tanker ran aground at Port Saul, rupturing its hull and releasing 1.6 million barrels of crude oil into the ocean. 200 miles of French coastline were devastated. The disaster reshaped international maritime law and oil spill response standards worldwide. In 2008, Wall Street's foundations were cracking. Bear Stearns, a 85-year-old investment giant, had bet heavily on mortgage-backed securities as the housing market collapsed. On March 16, JPMorgan Chase seized Bear Stearns for just $2 per share. The Federal Reserve provided a $29 billion backstop, marking the first major government rescue of a Wall Street firm. The Bear Stearns rescue signaled the start of unprecedented government intervention in finance. It set the template for the massive bailouts that followed, reshaping global banking regulation forever. In 2011, Japan's northeast coast lay devastated. 5 days after a massive earthquake and tsunami, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant teetered on the edge of catastrophe. On March 16th, radiation levels spiked to dangerous heights. Workers were evacuated as reactors threatened full meltdown, leaving only a skeleton crew behind to fight the crisis. Over 150,000 residents were displaced within a 20-kilometer exclusion zone. Fukushima reshaped global nuclear policy and reignited worldwide debate over atomic energy's future.